Hi, and welcome to another tutorial for the GBS Broadcaster software. We talked about scheduling playlists, building playlists. Now it's time to take a look at building a schedule. The difference again between a playlist and a schedule is a playlist is a list of programs and commercials, a combination of the two. You can schedule the playlist to start at a particular time, or you can instantly play the playlist, and the playlist will loop through each item in the list itself, but the items themselves are not scheduled. The playlist can be scheduled or started instantly, but the items in it just simply play back to back until that playlist is either told to stop or scheduled to run loop infinitely. The schedule, however, makes it possible for you to schedule individual items back to back and start them at a particular time of day. You can build a schedule for a day. You can build a schedule in advance to start the next day or the next week or the next month and save it until then. So let's take a look at scheduling. In order to do that, you have your interface up and ready to work. And again, reminding you that now we were working with items across the top, the main item menu across the top, but this time we're going to work with the window at the bottom. You see the customization tab. Your name, your organization can be listed there, and a picture that you want. Maybe a picture of the beach if you're in the winter and you just want to be reminded that all is not all cold. Mike's living down there in Florida and he has palm trees. So you might want to put a picture there. And then the next tab is the current schedule. Well, there is no current schedule because nothing's been built. So there's no schedule on the air right now. Now, we have had schedule a playlist, this tab. You should have seen that by now in one of the previous tutorials. But for this tutorial, we're going to build a schedule. And you see the work area now has different options for you to build something that's going to be put eventually in the current schedule list. Once you build it, you save it, and then you move to the current schedule tab, and then you load that schedule, and the items in that schedule will respond to this clock, and they will play according to the schedule time and date. But right now, let's take a look at building a schedule to get familiar with what's going on here. This schedule has 100 lines. You can add 100 items in this schedule and schedule up to 100 items on this particular schedule list. If you run out of space, you can simply build a new schedule that will start new items at a new time. But right now, we're just going to build one or two items in the schedule just to give you an idea of what it, how to do it and what it looks like. Again, moving over to the right-hand side of this work window, you enter the time that you want this schedule to start using the 24-hour format. Again, reminding what the 24-hour format is from 0 hour all the way to 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. The next second will push it into a new day. So in 24-hour time, the time that's on this clock right now, as you look at it, is 1800 hours, 23 minutes, and the clock's ticking up in seconds. 1800 hours, 23 minutes, and 50 seconds. That's what time it is right now. Let's say you want this thing to start at essentially what would be 9 p.m. in the AM/PM clock. Here you'd have to put 2100 hours. And I know what you're saying. Why do we have to use the 24 hour? Nobody does that. Believe it or not, the whole world uses the time clock, and when it's very critical. In the military, I used to be in the military, and they didn't necessarily use AM/PM. They didn't want you to get confused and have the mistake. I said 8 o'clock p.m., not AM. So that takes away all excuses, and it also lends to accuracy when it's starting something. There's no mistake between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. if you're using 2400 hour or the 24-hour clock. So the easiest way to remember it is that 18 stands for 18 hours after midnight. It's 18 hours, 24 minutes, and 49 seconds after midnight. So as long as you can keep that in mind, you'll be happy to use. And after a while, you'll get so accustomed to it, you'll wonder, why did I ever use AM, PM? It's so confusing. So right now, we want this to start at 9 p.m., which is 21 hours after midnight. Midnight, last when, you were asleep. And then the next thing is the date in the day, month, day, and year format. And let's say you want to start at that same day as I'm doing this tutorial. Then the next blank here is select a file for the schedule. When you click this and open it, it shows you a list of files. And again, if you haven't organized your directory structure in the same way in one of the tutorials that I was suggesting, well, you at least know where some files are that you want to pick. So these are all movie trailers. They're short. And I'm just going to pick one and open it. And now it's telling me that in 2100 hours, on this particular date, this file located at this location is going to be put into the schedule. So if I click this, by the way, wherever you want it to be in the schedule, make sure you highlight that line, because wherever the highlighted line is where this information is going to be inserted. So since I want it to be in item 1, I highlight item 1 and I say store info to schedule. And if I click that button, it puts the information that I just had, the item number, the name of the file, how long it is, and when it's going to start. It automatically calculates the time that it will end. And this is the date. Start date. And for somebody who just may look at the schedule, where is that file? Where it actually is located is the full path to that file. You may want to just take note of that and say, well, if I wanted to find this file, because right now, for convenience, it just tells you the media file name. But if you want to know where is that file, you go to the location folder, or location column, and therefore that's where you'll find it, at that particular specific location. All right? So now you've scheduled your first item to start at 2100 hours. But you want to start now with the next item, and you don't know, when do I want it to start? Well, you want it to start right after this program ends. So you look at the end time of the previous program, and now that's what you put in this blank, 21:02:50. So 21:02:50. That's going to be the start time of my next item, and it will be in the column beneath that. So make sure that's highlighted, because that's where this information is going to be stored once you say store to the schedule. 21:02:50 on the same date, but I want to pick a different file. I'll just pick this one at random here and open it. So now, what do I have? It's going to start at this time on this date, and this is the path to the file if I ever wanted to actually find it. I've already selected it because that's why it's there, but I want to store it now to the schedule. So look at this. I picked the second item in the list. This is the name of the file, a friendly name so that you don't have to say all this, where the directory is and all that kind of stuff. That's not something you want to glance at and know what's playing. This is the name, the friendly name of the file. Now, pay particular attention to what a schedule does as opposed to a playlist. It tells the duration of the specific file. It tells when you want it to start. It tells you, and it calculated when it will end, and the date and the location. But now the next file is only 1 minute and 39 seconds long, and it will start when this one ended. And it's calculated that it will end at this particular time. And let's say you want to schedule a commercial. I'll go find my commercials. I think I have one somewhere. But I put it on line. It'll be item number 3, and it will be scheduled to start when this one ended. So the start time for my commercial will be 21:04:29. 21:04:29. It'll start on this particular date that's already in there if you wanted to start it on a different date. But right now, the idea is you're building a schedule that's going to air on the same day. So the items will air back to back with no gaps. So now this time I want to find a commercial. Let's see, I happen to know that I have a structured folder where I have commercials, and it's in my GBS folder and in my commercials folder. There it is, my one and only commercial, just starting out. After a while I'll have hundreds and be generating all kinds of revenue. But right now I have one commercial. And so there it is. It's going to start at 21:04:29 on this particular date. There's the commercial's path. And I want to store it as the third item, wherever I have highlighted here. If I say store to schedule, that's what it's going to do. Now, something that might happen from time to time, but no real problem. It doesn't have a media file name because some programs that you create doesn't have all the metadata in it for your convenience. But you know that something is scheduled to air at a particular time. Let's see, here it is right here. It's only 58 seconds long. It's going to start at 21:04:29. It starts when this one ended, and this will end 58 seconds after it starts on this particular date. And if you're not sure, from time to time this is going to happen to you, and I did this on purpose. If you're not sure what the file name is, don't worry about slowing down trying to get that done. It won't prevent it from playing, because this here, this line, this information is what GBS Broadcaster actually used to locate your file and actually play it. It knows to look on this drive, in this folder, in this subfolder, commercials, for this particular file name, commercial.mp4. So even though this column is blank for media file name, this column is really for your convenience. It's just the friendly name for the file so that you can glance and actually know it. But the only thing that really matters to the GBS Broadcaster is the item here, because it's dependent on where do I get it and what's the name. All right. And since it's a commercial, we got to put something after the commercial. So let's go down to line 4 and find, let's see, wait a minute. Before we do something there, we need to know when the end time. When will this start? It'll start at 21:05:27. 21:05:27. All right, that's going to be my start time for the program that will run after this commercial. It'll run on the same day because it's the same schedule, and I'm trying to do something back to back with no gaps on the air. And I still need to pick a program because this information is from the previous item that I put in. It was a commercial. But now I want to select something to play after the commercial, and I'm going back to my video file. I'm going to pick another file here, and here's one interesting, Dial-A-Prayer. These are movie trailers, and that was also coming out in 2015. All right, so now let's look at what we're about to put in our schedule. 24-hour format. It's going to start when the previous one ended at 21:05:27 on this particular day. This is the new file that's going to start, and now I need to store it into the schedule. Click that button, and so now I have 4 items in the schedule. Remember, this one's blank because it didn't have the metadata to tell you the specific name of the file. It wasn't in the file itself, and you're going to run into that from time to time. But this is what GBS Broadcaster uses to know what to play. The program that I just put in is located here on this drive and in the videos folder, and that's the name of it. It's a long name, and it's an MP4. All right, let's say I have my little schedule built, and now I want to save that schedule. So I click Save Schedule, and I've organized my drive to where I know all of my schedules are. I put them on this extra drive in my GBS folder, and I want to put it in my schedules folder, and I want to name it my first schedule. first. By the way, while I'm typing, I hope you're doing the same thing in your training version of this software. My first schedule, and it will automatically put the suffix on it. It will save it on this PC, in my case, in this drive. If you only have one drive on your computer, it's going to save it wherever you tell it to save it. It's going to be in my GBS folder, in my schedules subfolder. That's where I'm going to know to look to find every schedule that I create. I'm going to put it there. And in other tutorials, I don't know where you are if you're watching these in sequence, but I do have one on, getting organized and learning how to put that file structure on your system. Well, now it's already named, and all I have to do is save it. Media Scheduler has been saved to disk. So now I go to current schedule. Right now, all I did was build it and save it. But in order to play it, or get it ready to be played, I have to go to current schedule. Well, there's nothing current. There's nothing playing right now. So I have to load a schedule. And it automatically went to the last directory. But wherever you save these, that's where it's going to look. That's where you need to look in order to get the schedule to play. These schedules have a specific suffix on them. They're XML files. And it would be kind of dangerous to put them in other places because this particular file has been structured to work with GBS Broadcaster. And this program will read any XML file. And they all are not the same. They have fields and content in them that can differ, but this will read any XML file and you can actually load the wrong one and it won't play properly. So that's why I suggest you get a specific folder for your schedule files that are designed with the format that runs with the GBS Broadcaster. So I'm going to select this, my first schedule, as the file name, and I say open. And there it is. It has the potential for 100 items on here, but for this demonstration, this is the schedule we just built. Notice that everything's there on all of them except one. This one doesn't have a media name. And again, I remind you, it doesn't matter to GBS Broadcaster. This column is really for your convenience. But this column, called location, is what GBS actually uses to find your file and play it. So, if I go back here, I know that start time and the end times for each one and the way that they've been put into the schedule is designed to run these items back to back. Now, the next thing to do and the final thing to do to get your schedule online and ready to play is to hit Start Automation. Notice when you hit the Start Automation, this was kind of like ready. It's green is go. It's ready to go. And as soon as the clock hits 2100 hours, this schedule will start playing. It'll take over from whatever's going on before. I can actually have a playlist playing. I can select media, and because I don't want my channel to be off the air, I can go to where my playlists are, and I've already created some. Go to the drive where I keep them. Excuse me. And I go to my GBS folder, and I go to playlists. And again, I have to filter it to look for playlists, because right now it's looking for videos. So I see my playlist. So I can pick any one of these playlists, and it will automatically start. I'm going to pause this for a minute. Now, look what's happening. This area up on top, I've already picked a playlist to play while it's waiting for this schedule to start. These do work independently. You can have a current playlist playing just to keep content on your channel. And at any given time, you have a schedule of events that you want to start. Now, let's just say you got stuff running all day and you don't want anybody to go to your channel and just find it blank. So you have a playlist running. No particular scheduled stuff. It's just stuff that's entertaining. Maybe stuff out of your archives that you just want people to at random. If they tune into your station, they may see something that they find interesting. They'll pause, they'll watch. And whatever's in the playlist is going to be good for you because it will show your viewers a variety of things. On demand is great because it usually keeps people in touch on their schedule to watch stuff that's current, stuff that you've been promoting, stuff that everybody's talking about right now. But if you're like a lot of broadcasters and a lot of people who do videos, you have stuff in your archives that people wouldn't know to look for. A good way to expose people to past events and past interesting things that you've shot is to do this kind of playlist. Keep it looping. By the way, let me see here. You see this little loop button? As long as that's on loop, that playlist will play over and over and over until it is preempted by this schedule. You don't have to schedule the playlist. You can just start it manually, and it'll just play as long as you have it looped. And your channel will have content on it all the time. And at this particular time, the playlist is scheduled to start at 2100 hours on this particular day. It will start and it will preempt the playlist, and the schedule will take over. It's just that easy. That's how you build a playlist and load it and schedule it to run.